Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to walk you through how I did my Mystique makeup for Halloween. A bunch of people have requested I film the get ready with me sort of thing. Unfortunately, I didn't actually document the entire process of getting ready, so I just literally filmed myself as I was putting my makeup on, but I didn't actually, go through the nitty-gritty of everything. So I wanted to sit down and kind of explain the steps that I took to create this Mystique makeup look. So the first thing I did when I was deciding on this costume was looking up obviously inspiration photos and seeing what other people had done. And no offense to everyone who has done Mystique makeups before, but it was really hard to find kind of good inspiration photos, I guess. A lot of the makeups that I'd seen had either just been painted on, they didn't do the scales like how she is in the movie, or I don't know, the makeup just didn't look that great. And I'm not saying that mine looks amazing either. I just found it really hard to find some really good makeups, essentially. So I'm not like S-ing my own D about this or anything like that, but I think the way that I had kind of approached this makeup turned out pretty good, and I was really happy with the end result of it. It's definitely not the most 100% accurate according to the movie or anything like that. So I decided I wanted to do more of a beauty style Mystique. I decided I definitely wanted to use prosthetics or scales or something like that, so there was actual texture on the face, not just painted on scales, if that makes sense. What I did first was actually create a face chart. My camera's going to go really yellow for a second. I found a photo of Mystique really HD, the Jennifer Lawrence version. I basically created a face chart and mapped out where all the scales are kind of supposed to be. So that kind of created a map for me to follow when I was creating my scales. So the way I did the scales was I used two different products and they both worked pretty well. They had their pros and cons on both sides. So the first method I tried was using a product called Third Degree, which is basically a modeling compound. It's silicone, so you mix part A and part B together and create your own modeling kind of goo. And then it sets, and then you're able to either put that directly onto the face and let it set there, or what I did was create scales on a piece of plastic, which is really dirty and gross now. But I just put this piece of plastic over the top of my face chart and modeled all the scales on top of the face chart, so I kind of had an idea of what sizing to do everything. So all the blue ones here are Third Degree. This is also just covered in glitter and stuff like that. But basically, I just made a lot of little scales with some Third Degree. I also mixed in the blue face paint that I used on my face. This is what they turned out like. They're just little scales, little blue scales. They're not glittery. This one just has, I just touched a bunch of glitter, so they weren't glittery at the time. I was pretty happy with it. However, it was a little bit harder to make larger pieces that looked smooth. If you tried to mold it, it did get like bumpy and kind of textured. So I preferred the second method that I used, which was better for the larger scales, which I used this Mehron 3D gel, which was quite similar feeling wise to the silicone. It was just a lot runnier. This is made of like glycerin or something like that. What is it called? Glycerin, gelatin, I don't know, stuff. What you do is heat this up, either put it in boiling water, I just stick it in the microwave usually, and heat it up for a few seconds, and then you just literally can pour it straight out and create wounds and things like that on somebody's face. Or you can, like I did with the Third Degree, you can just pour it onto a plastic sheet and create little dots. So I just kind of poured this out in little tiny dot, and just use those little dots to stick onto my face. This worked a lot better in terms of the larger scales because they turned out a lot smoother. So again, mind the pieces of glitter, that's not meant to be there. But this little dot here is kind of what they all turned out like. I did a bunch of sizes, different shapes and sizes to match the face chart that I did. But these were really great because they're really squishy and they're kind of sticky on the back as well, which helps. I don't know, they kind of just like glue on by themselves. Like that. So that was step one of doing this makeup. I literally just covered my forehead in scales. I ended up changing the design slightly from the original Mystique because with the wig I was wearing, I had a lot less forehead space to work with. So to glue down the scales, I literally just used eyelash glue. I was originally going to use Pros-Aide, but mine had all dried out, so I just used eyelash glue instead. It worked pretty well. Only a couple came off during the night, and it was the ones just around my hairline where I had like brushed my hair too much and they'd kind of flipped off. But during the night, I just literally covered that up with some more blue and no one was the wiser. For my foundation, I essentially covered my face in blue cream paint. This is the Mayron cream blend stick in the color blue. I bought this from Heaven Costumes in Adelaide. Because it's a cream paint though, I knew it would transfer onto anything I touched, so I had to set it with a powder. And because my costume was slightly deeper of a blue than this color here, I used a dark blue eyeshadow to set my face. So I used the Makeup Forever Starlit powder in number 19, which is this really beautiful rich blue. It did tint my skin a little bit darker so that it would match my costume a bit better as well, and it does have a slight reflect to it. It's very glittery. It is very, very shiny, so this is where I kind of took my own artistic interpretation of the makeup and I made my Mystique quite shiny, glowy. I don't know, I think it looked really cool because my costume was kind of shiny as well, so I think having a matte face and a shiny body would have looked funny, so I liked having that kind of shininess to my face. For the high points of my face, I also used the Pearl-Ex pigment in the color turquoise, I believe, which is just a slightly lighter blue. It also has a bit of a reflection in it, and I used that on the high points of my face, directly underneath my eyes to set my eyes and around my jawline and anywhere I wanted to kind of highlight. So I also kind of dusted it on top of the scales to give it a little bit more of a shape and texture. I also contoured my cheeks with a black eyeshadow, just matte black, and just kind of tapped that over the scales that I had on my cheeks. For the inner corners of my eyes, I also used a tiny bit of Makeup Forever glitter. I have no idea what the number is. It's just a kind of dark blue glitter. I put that right in the inner corners, and I also put that on my Cupid's bow on top of my lip so that I would have a little bit more shine there. For my eyelids and my lips, I used a Makeup Forever Aqua Cream. So it's essentially a cream eyeshadow that sets waterproof and does not budge. So that's why I used it on my eyes, because this Mayron cream will crease and move and do all kinds of bad things throughout the night. So I wanted something completely waterproof on my eyelids so that my eyes wouldn't crease or anything like that. And I also used that as my lipstick, and I brought it in my purse to touch up with, because throughout the night around my mouth and like my chin area kind of just started breaking up a bit. So I actually used that aqua cream paint all over my face just to fix anywhere that the blue had started to wear down slightly. And honestly, it worked pretty well. Like it lasted throughout the night. I just needed to touch up a little bit with the aqua cream and it blended fine. So I was pretty happy with how it worked out. I also made sure to blend that blue right into my ears. I was literally like showering for days after and I still had blue in my ears. So that was fun. To make the look slightly more feminine and girly, I still included eyeliner and lashes. It could not be a Sophie Lollipop look without some eyeliner, winged eyeliner in particular, so I had to add that into this makeup as well. Fight me. The wig I used was from AliExpress. I will link it down below because I think it's a really cool wig. I actually tried it on when I first got it with my normal face and I loved it. So I'm really interested to buy some more wigs from AliExpress and see what other ones are like, because this one was bomb. So I was really happy with it. And again, it's not perfectly in line with what the movies look like. I just wanted to be more glam. And I like having long hair, so of course my Raven / Mystique look had to have long hair as well. And last but not least, my freaking amazing costume was from a website called Heroes Time. They do all kinds of superheroes that are kind of like morph suits that are printed, and they are so good. Oh my god, I was so happy with it. The website's great. You can put in your preferences with how big or small you want the costume, if you want it to include shoes. So I actually had shoes inbuilt into my costume, which is the first time I've gone into town without wearing heels, by the way, and I was so short, But it was so comfy. The costume was really breathable but still really comfy. I didn't feel too exposed even though it was skin tight, because one of my preferences when I put in all my measurements and stuff was that I wanted like extra small costume, and I wanted it to be like a tight fit as well because I didn't want any bagginess. I wanted it to be like skin, and I was so happy with the costume. The only problem was I could not zip up the back by myself. I could get about halfway and then I had to get people to help me to zip it up. So every time I had to go to the bathroom, I did have to remove the entire costume, go pee, then put the whole thing back on, and then get people to zip up the back for me, which it was worth it. I think it was awesome. It was so much fun to wear and I got so many compliments on it, so I was really happy with it. And I think in photos especially, the makeup and the color of the costume really like fit together really nicely, and I was stoked with the results, honestly. Before I started my makeup, I put some contacts in. The ones I got were Primal costume contact lenses, and they're actually in the style Raven, so it's like they're specifically made for a Mystique look. And they're just bright yellow contacts. They were really comfortable to wear, honestly. I did not have any problems with it. They were really easy to put in, and I did not find they were irritating at all, so I was really happy with those. I definitely will purchase more contacts from them. I really liked them. And that is how I did my Mystique Halloween makeup. I hope that all makes sense. Those who were wondering how I did this look can now possibly recreate it yourselves. I will mention that some of the stitching around my fingers did kind of come apart throughout the night, which is fine because I can fix that if I do ever want to use this costume again. But I was also a little bit drunk. I might not have been the most careful with my costume, but that's just a warning in case any of you guys are thinking about purchasing one of these costumes as well. And the other downside was because you're literally covered like neck to toe, including your hands, I couldn't use my phone. So I ended up cutting a hole in the thumb of my costume purely so that I could use my phone throughout the night. And I just had this tiny little hole in my thumb so I could still take photos and swipe my phone and use my phone. It was a little bit time consuming, only using one thumb to like text and stuff, but it was too hard to like have to take the whole costume off to use my hand. So I just cut a little hole in the thumb and that seemed to work totally fine. And the hole didn't really get bigger or anything like that. So I definitely would recommend doing that if you need to use your phone throughout the night. So I hope that all made sense. I hope you all enjoyed seeing how I created this Mystique look. I was so proud of this makeup, and it was a lot of fun doing something a bit more creative for once. So if there are any other costumes or characters that you might like to see me transform into, I would love to hear your thoughts. So other than that, I hope you all are having a really great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!